Hello friends, I'm Ufukshen. You see an image on the screen? We can easily get this image with Nano Banana. However, this image is actually the sketch version of the SketchUp view you see here. In fact, I didn't render it. I just created the sketch version using Nano Banana with the help of artificial intelligence. But here, prompts are very important. Look, when creating prompts, the images you provide at the initial stage are extremely important. It has already recognized the transparency here by itself. Look, here too, it has created something like a small river, a pond, or rather a river stream. In fact, look, it even recognized this part here, the small pier as well, friends. It recognized that too. I had designed it as a forest house among tall, slender pine trees. But when doing this, first we proceed as follows. Without dragging it out any further, I'll get straight to the point, friends. If you watch the video until the end, you'll really see what kind of prompt it is. Regarding small changes in prompts, friends, in a moment we're going to create a really nice render related to artificial intelligence. Let's say you have an image like this. You can change the image however you want. I'll already provide you with the link to the model. You can download it from the description, find it, use it, and I'll also share our WhatsApp link. You can also join there and upload this image as well. If you watch our lesson until the end, friends, and like and share the video, I would really appreciate it. You go to File, then select Export 2D Graphics. Here in the Export section, make sure these settings are set high, friends. This is something that's almost equivalent to 6K. Make sure the anti-aliasing option is checked, friends. What does this mean? This, friends, removes the roughness of the corner points, that is, these corner areas. It makes the image come out smoother, with softer edges. If you uncheck it, you'll see a jagged structure here. That structure ruins the render, friends. Whether it's an AI render or a normal render, it will ruin the render. This is also an important fine detail. Of course, we used to do this in previous years. I just wanted to mention it now. Now, we're opening Gemini, friends. Look, I made a prompt like this here. Actually, I did it in the cloud as well, but you can also do it in Gemini. If you want, you can even do it in ChatGPT. There's absolutely no problem. Here I am. Look, I want to get a high quality and realistic render of this sketch, this 3D sketch image using Gemini Nano Banana. If we present my design as a forest house with plenty of landscaping and tall, slender pine trees in the background, what should the ultra-realistic, this is important, master prompt be for this? Friends, what we call the master prompt is the main, complete, detailed prompt area. You also need to use a master prompt in the work you do. Look, it gave this, and this is the result we got. But there's something else. Look, there's a really nice feature here, friends. I'm going to talk about that. Look, it says if you want to change the season or lighting for the atmosphere, just modify the relevant line in the main prompt like this. Look, this part here, I copied it. Let's take it and see. Look, this part here, friends. Look, it says mainframe warm natural. Here, it created something that represents a warmer sunset. Since we're going to change this to a more seasonal morning sun, I'll show you that in a moment. We'll do that. Look, we're going to change this part. I opened Google Gemini, friends. Let this part here be pro. You click on the plus sign and then on create image. You upload a file from the plus section. Remember, we exported our sketch as a 2D image. You click open and it comes here. Look, I came here, friends. I copied the prompt from here, came over here and pasted it. This was my previous image. I don't want this image. I want a nicer image, something more seasonal, not just warm tones. Alright, take a look at this. I'm going to incorporate and bring over the mindframe part from right here, my friends, if you will. Then, I'm going to change this specific part here and simply click on the copy button. I took this part here, friends. I said paste like this. Let it render this. Let it render it with artificial intelligence. Let's see what we've got. Here's a note while it's rendering. Nano Banana sometimes tries to fix the console structure geometry on sloped terrain. After you get the first output, if any geometry remains, reloading the original and locking it in place will give you the cleanest result. Regarding terrain, look, if you are working with sloped terrain and you add this part, I will provide these prompts in the description section. It will also recognize the terrain directly and provide it. Normally it gives the terrain as flat, but if you continue and add this, it will provide the terrain as defined. These are actually subtle but important details. Friends, really. While doing these, we tried out these experiments within the master prompt. Look, to avoid losing the clarity of the structure, add this warning at the end in your first attempt. I didn't add it to avoid losing the clarity of the structure, but it can be added, friends. You know how sometimes when you add it, it gives you a different design? Well, that's where you need to add it. Let's see what it gave us. Look, friends, actually the design is varied here. I think it turned out really nice. I really like this design. Well, it's both a sketch and also kind of like a place in the forest, abandoned, where someone who wants to live alone can go to find some peace and quiet, but with more fantastical elements. Look, do you see the mist, friends? It's a really beautiful ambiance. There's mist in the background, it's really beautiful. Our stream here has disappeared and turned into a rocky area over there. They've made it look a bit more aged. These have shifted a bit more towards the wooden part. I actually thought it looked like metal, but it turned out to be wood. Look, as you can see, there are reflections in the windows. It really looks beautiful, very sweet. They've already done the landscaping perfectly. If we want, we can also add people. Look, let's see what kind of different ambience they've created here. They said it's for sunset, a dramatic sunset. If you want, we can do this too. It would be really nice. I'm doing it again. I've opened Google Gemini. From this section, first I say create an image. Then from the plus section, I'm uploading a file. Friends, I came here, selected my file, enter. From here, first normal. I'll provide these. You can use whichever model you want. I've added this as well. Then I came here, friends. In fact, to avoid losing the clarity of the structure, they said we can add this too. Here, dramatic sunset. Let's take this as well. Let's say copy from this section here. Where is main? Main, yes, right here. I changed this and pressed the OK button, friends. You can get results very quickly. But what was the thing we did at the very beginning, friends? We provide the sketch image, not this one, but the sketch image over here, to Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, friends, and first we have it analyzed. So what we mean by analyzed is this. What was it again? If you want to get a high quality render from this sketch image, what should you give us? What prompt should you use? And what kind of result would come out? Especially here, since I emphasized it repeatedly on Gemini Nano Banana, and because it's compatible with Gemini Nano Banana, we got a good result. In fact, we got very good results in 2 of them. Let's see how the sunset result will turn out on the 3rd one. Yes, this one is nice too, friends. It's not bad at all. Here, look, it has preserved a bit more of the structure's details. As you can see, it has preserved the wooden detail, because our original image is like this as well. Let's see, let it download this one. It's about 10 megabytes. Look, friends, it's downloading a 10 megabyte file. It really is high quality. Here it says 9.4 megabytes as well. As you can see, it's 4K, a nice image. Here, even when the camera zooms in, look, there's a blur effect here. Do you see it? It has applied a blur effect. It shows this Gemini Nano Banana icon. You can open this in Photoshop, mark it, and delete it. Very simply, friends, it removes it automatically. You can create a variation like this. You can even use these to create their own variations as well. So you download this file, tell it to turn it into a winter scene, and it immediately transforms it into a winter scene, friends. That's the situation here. I really want to say that it works very efficiently and very systematically. However, there's something very subtle and very important I want to mention here. Friends, if you end up relying on AI for all your tasks just because it makes things easier, you may encounter problems with workflow disruptions and efficiency. Our model is ready. Of course, when we look at the other side of such a model, there will inevitably be model incompatibility. There will be mismatches in areas like the front, back, right side, and left flank. These mismatches are actually the elements that bother the customer. So if these are wanted in a single frame, of course, nobody really wants it in a single frame, but there might be some people who randomly want a single frame render, an artistic render. I want to talk about that topic. Renders can be taken in this way. But on the other hand, in Enscape and D5, moving towards such a work by taking a reference from an image and referencing it on the model is also one of the important factors for us. I will continue to create content like this that will be useful for you. I will provide the prompts in the description section. I will also share our WhatsApp group in the description section. Friends, you can also share the visuals you created from this lesson on WhatsApp and say, I made these. We can already see what you have done by chatting in the conversation section, friends. You can add animals, you can add people, you can add different ambient summaries. I will provide you with the master prompt and the main link to the model. By using them, you can also generate visuals. I am Ufuk Shen, with love and respect. See you in our other lessons. Take care, friends.